Viewers, Pakistan has been a member of the International Monetary Fund since the year 1950, and 24 times since 1950, IMF has bailed Pakistan out. Once again, aid being given to bankrupt Pakistan, completely bankrupt. Pakistan has received 24 IMF bailouts since the year 1958. Economic woes refuse to come to an end, though, in spite of just so many times it's been assisted. Structural flaws and weak governance are often blamed for persistent crises. IMF report talks about repeated bailouts that have trapped Pakistan in a debt cycle. It's a never-ending cycle, essentially. Labeled a major defaulter due to chronic dependence on the funds of the International Monetary Fund. There are concerns over misuse of aid and diversion of funds that remains high. Also, fears of IMF money may be indirectly, and that's a huge possibility, be funding terror and terror groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar. Strict real-time monitoring is needed, given Pakistan's track record of violating the terms that have been spelled out by the International Monetary Fund. Karishma Sudani getting in more details on that big story. Karishma, this is a never-ending cycle as far as economics are concerned. Pakistan has found itself in a debt, in this huge cycle of debt, which is, a never-ending one. However, the IMF has often, not just often, but come to the relief of this country 24 times since the year 1958. Just give us a sense of why things are so difficult for Pakistan vis-a-vis utilizing these funds and, progressing further economically, financially.
Sneha, how the funds actually work is that, firstly, this was beyond just $1 billion because they were also given additional $1.4 billion. So a total of $2.4 billion that was approved on the night of May 9th, right amidst Operation Sindur. But the way IMF funding works, and mind you, I must tell our viewers that despite the fact that they were given 24 times, there have been a couple of times that Pakistan has also been listed under the grey list of IMF because of not following proper economic reforms. While IMF does not, the way IMF functions, it does not take away the funding that it has already given, but it keeps a very close eye on the fact that the funding being given is used for its appropriate purpose and objective, and the fiscal stability of the country is maintained. In case there is political instability and the reforms which were pre-discussed with IMF are not followed, then it does give IMF the power in future not to extend these loans or any kind of fiscal support to a particular country in the coming years. And Pakistan has had a taste of this previously, and a couple of other countries were also in fact put in the grey list because of this concern. India's stance has been clear, and not just what Defence Minister today is saying, but also our director to IMF had also put it in Washington DC, in black and white, clearly that Pakistan is a country that has showed a poor record in terms of maintaining its fiscal health and utilizing funds for cross-border terrorism. Hence, we abstain from voting because we do not support the fact that these funds will be not used rather for its fiscal stability, but for cross-border terrorism.
That's right. These announcements have been made already that Pakistan is going to be rebuilding Murike. It's something that the defense minister also spelled out, that this was a terror hub that we destroyed and the money is being given. So what really will stop the IMF or dissuades them? How does it work really in terms of Pakistan building its case, other countries supporting in, and also a country like India that says, listen, we aren't okay with this, and hence we'll abstain from voting?
Well, as an individual country, we do not have any further power to try and put this down. We may want to send a request, we may want to send another proposal pushing IMF, but this is to the discretion of the fact that majority countries on the board have already voted for this. But I'd like to reiterate the fact that each time IMF bails out a particular country, and since we are talking about Pakistan, there are certain kind of reforms that they pre-discuss that Pakistan has to work on these particular reforms. So there is also $1.4 billion loan that's been given under the Climate Sustainability Fact. So if that loan is not used for the purpose that it's being given, but rather rerouted for other purposes, including rebuilding of infrastructure pertaining to the India-Pakistan conflict, then it may actually flag IMF to not further support support Pakistan.
But better scrutiny is what really is the need of the hour, isn't it, Karishma? How does one find out? Unless there is thorough scrutiny on what Pakistan really is doing with that money. Is it fighting a war with India or borrowed money is the big question here. It's a conditional loan to Pakistan from the IMF to cut subsidies, tax untaxed sectors, prevent further depreciation of the rupee, plus address the ongoing war is what is a conditional loan. I'm going to go straight across to Geeta for more on that, our Foreign Affairs editor, connecting with us at this point in time. Geeta, just tell us, how can India, through diplomacy, prevent Pakistan from getting this kind of monetary assistance from the IMF?
Well, there is a lot in the diplomatic toolkit for India to now really explore and look at. Like we were just reporting on the two aspects of the loan. One is the 1 billion and then the 1.4 on climate. Now that the second part, the latter part of it, is going to be not so difficult task when it comes. It's going to be a very an uphill task for India really to go out there and get the international community to have a rethink on these disbursements. But the 1.4 can be tracked more closely and easily than the one which was cleared earlier, although all of them have huge checks and balances this time around. So, Sneha, there are a few things that they're going to do. One is that Pakistan's economy is in a shambles. Look at the announcements that are being made of compensation and rebuilding of Muridke. The Indian administration has already said that Pakistan invests more in terror infrastructure and terrorists than in revival of its own economy. There will be enough proof that India will gather, and we are looking at how the diplomatic corps is going to approach the IMF. India is a contributor, not a country that takes loans from IMF, and therefore has a say. Although what has been rather disappointing is that while everybody has condemned the Pahalgam terror attack, there isn't any country that has actually come and stood with India even on ensuring that this loan does not really go through. There are countries that have explicitly come out and expressed support for Pakistan. China, one of the biggest countries in terms of economy and emerging, growing superpower. Azerbaijan, Turkey, a NATO country, have explicitly expressed support. But for India, it seems like there is a concept of neutrality that every country has adopted, and that is not going down well for India. Maybe the approach of sending Indian teams from various political parties to various world capitals would be one of the ways and means to convince the countries to stop disbursing these loans, because there could be objections India would raise, but those objections should be met with support from other countries to stop disbursement.
That's right. The fund funneling has to be stopped. And how can India do that when other countries are siding by Pakistan, but not so much so with India, is what Geeta is telling us. I'm going to leave it at that. Geeta Mohan getting in those details. A Foreign Affairs editor putting that into perspective. We have more news coming in. Let's take a look. Home Minister Amit Shah is hailing Operation Sindur. He says Operation Sindur is a symbol of Prime Minister Modi's political will. Operation Sindur reflects accuracy of intelligence agencies. Operation Sindur showed forces striking powers, is what Home Minister Amit Shah has said. It's a symbol of the Prime Minister's political will. Remember, after the Pahalgam attack, the Prime Minister had in all clear terms spoken about the fact that there will be retribution and that those behind the attack will be punished. Countries backing terror will be punished. Home Minister Amit Shah now lauding that very spirit and decision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, talking about Operation Sindur being successful and also how it has become a symbol of the Prime Minister's political will. Opposition, in fact, Operation Sindur reflects the accuracy of intelligence agencies, underscoring their importance and their contribution in ensuring the success of Operation Sindur. And in a strong and unified response to Turkey and Azerbaijan's open support for Pakistan, over 125 top trade leaders from across India have resolved to boycott all trade, tourism and commercial ties with both the nations. The decision was taken at a national conference organized by the Confederation of All India Traders, or CAIS. Essentially, this is a traders' body. It has representatives from 24 states. Key actions include a nationwide boycott of goods from Turkey and Azerbaijan, halting new trade deals, cancelling tourism promotions, and urging the Indian film industry not to shoot in either countries. The business community also warned that any film shot in these nations would face public and commercial boycott. Separately, the Federation of Western India Cine Employees Association has called on major OTT platforms like Netflix, Prime Video, Jio Cinema to stop streaming Turkish content, urging the government to consider a ban. Protests have broken out in Delhi, with hundreds marching towards the Turkish embassy to denounce Ankara's support for Islamabad.
तुर्की और अजरबैजान ने जिस तरीके से पाकिस्तान का समर्थन किया और वो इस बात को भूल गए कि जब वो मुसीबत में थे तो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने ऑपरेशन दोस्त के जरिए एक दोस्त बन करके उनकी सहायता की थी, उनकी मदद की थी। लेकिन आज जब भारत का वक्त आया तो वो पाकिस्तान के साथ में जाकर के खड़े हो गए। पूरे देश के व्यापार और उद्योग में इसको लेकर के बहुत रोष और आक्रोश है और कन्फेडरेशन ऑफ ऑल इंडिया ट्रेडर्स ने इस मुद्दे पर आज एक राष्ट्रीय सम्मेलन बुलाया जिसमें 24 से अधिक राज्यों के व्यापारी नेता मौजूद हैं और अंतिम रूप से निर्णय लेंगे कि अजरबैजान और तुर्की के साथ किसी भी प्रकार के व्यापारिक संबंध, वो आयात हो या निर्यात हो, दोनों को तुरंत प्रभाव से बंद किया जाए। वहीं तुर्की और अजरबैजान की यात्राओं का भी बहिष्कार किया जाए। कोई भी देश जो भारत के खिलाफ खड़ा होगा, पाकिस्तान के समर्थन में खड़ा होगा, भारत के कारोबारी कभी भी ऐसे देश का ना तो समर्थन करेंगे और ना उसके साथ कारोबार करेंगे। यह बहुत स्पष्ट है और हमारे इस कदम से निश्चित रूप से तुर्की और अजरबैजान दोनों की अर्थव्यवस्था और व्यापार की कमर टूटेगी।
अपने आप को समर्पित करना भी चाहूंगा और स्वदेशी जागरण मंच अपने लोगों से आह्वान करता है कि टर्की का अपने बर्फों का बहिष्कार करे और इस टर्की को बताए कि ये भारत से किस प्रकार लड़ाई लड़ना।
All right, let's tell you a little about Operation Sindur, of course, and the success of it, and later on, the developments in the valley vis-a-vis escalating operations against terror. After the successful completion of Operation Sindur, our forces are intensifying attacks on terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. In 48 hours, forces have attacked terror hubs. From the list of 14 terrorists, 6 have been eliminated. A large quantity of ammunition and grenades were recovered from these terror hubs. In a joint press conference by the army and the police, forces have confirmed they're conducting a major crackdown on terror hubs and terrorists. They're intensifying the search operations to neutralize these terrorists. Yesterday, forces eliminated 3 Jaish terrorists in Tral, and the day before, they eliminated 3 in Shopia, which brings it to a total of 6 in 2 days. Forces claim that during Operation Sindur, they received intelligence input suggesting that terrorists were shifting from jungles and forests as the snow melts with the onset of the summer. They assert that they're now focusing on multiple such areas to neutralize these terrorists.
इन दोनों ऑपरेशंस में सीआरपी, आर्मी, जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस का शाना बशाना रोल रहा है और इन लोगों ने, हमारे जवानों ने और हमारे अफसरों ने कंधे से कंधा मिला के इन ऑपरेशंस को अंजाम दिया है। सरसरी तौर पे ये 2 ऑपरेशंस, एक केलर के इलाके में जो कि शोपियां में आता है वहाँ हुआ और दूसरा जो कि कल जो था त्राल के इलाके में हुआ। इन दोनों ऑपरेशंस में 6 टेररिस्ट को न्यूट्रलाइज किया गया।
इनपुट आई कि शायद एक टेररिस्ट ग्रुप जो है एक गांव के नाडर के इलाके में गांव के अंदर कुछ टाइम के लिए सेटल्ड है और इमीडिएटली उस विलेज को कॉर्डन किया गया। जब कॉर्डन लग रहा था तो ये टेररिस्ट जो है उन्होंने अलग अलग घर के अंदर पोजीशन ले ली और फायर करने की कोशिश की, रादर फायर किया। और उस टाइम पे हमारा चैलेंज था कि जो सिविलियंस हैं, जो इनोसेंट, जो वहाँ पर बच्चे, फैमिलीज, बुजुर्ग हैं, उनको वहाँ से निकाला जाए। तो पहले उनको सेफली उस जगह से निकाला गया और उसके बाद सिस्टमैटिकली तरीके से सर्च करी गई एक एक घर को, और एक एक करके अलग अलग जगह के ऊपर इन 3 टेररिस्ट को न्यूट्रलाइज किया गया।
As forces avenge the Pahalgam terror attacks, political heat is now erupting against our brave forces. Political leaders have begun attacking, insulting our brave jawans, making all sorts of political statements, insulting them and speaking out of context and out of turn clearly. Take a look at these motor-mouthed netas and the statements that they've been making.
As Operation Sindur is paused, politics enters the fast lane. In their haste to appropriate credit, Indian leaders are sparking controversies one after another. The latest self-goal comes from Jagdish Devda, the Madhya Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister. Devda on Friday claimed that forces must bow down at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's feet while referring to the success of Operation Sindur.
और यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी को हम धन्यवाद देना चाहेंगे और पूरा देश की वो सेना, वो सैनिक उनके चरणों में नतमस्तक है, उनके चरणों में पूरा देश नतमस्तक है।
The free-for-all started with Madhya Pradesh Minister Vijay Shah, who commented on Colonel Sophia Qureshi's religion. Hauled up by the courts, he was forced to backtrack and apologize. Samajwadi Party MP Ram Gopal Yadav on Thursday commented on Wing Commander Vamika Singh's caste, saying she was spared insults by the Madhya Pradesh minister because she was mistaken to be a Rajput. He refused to apologize and stood by his statement.
व्योमिका सिंह हरियाणा की जाकर तो तीनों तो पीडीए के थे, एक को मुसलमान समझ के गाली दी, एक को राजपूत समझ के कुछ नहीं किया और भारतीय के बारे में जानकारी नहीं थी। अब जब पेपर में आ गया तब ये सोचने को विवश है कि अब क्या करें।
All 3 leaders were heavily criticized, not just by the opposition but by their own parties as well.
देश अभी राष्ट्रभक्ति के दौर से गुजर रहा है। ऐसे समय कुछ लोग ध्यान डाइवर्ट करने के लिए इस प्रकार की बातें उठाते हैं जो शुद्ध रूप से मूर्खतापूर्ण है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथी और उनके साथी मीडिया के लोग राम गोपाल जी के बयान को लेकर के विजय शाह को बचाने की कोशिश क्यों कर रहे हैं? राम गोपाल जी के मुंह से एक शब्द गलत निकला। मेरा स्पष्ट कहना है कि राम गोपाल जी के बयान को लेकर के भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग नीचता से और धृष्टता से विजय शाह को बचाने की कोशिश नहीं करें। वो राष्ट्रद्रोही है, वो गद्दार है।
In their hunt for votes, Indian netas are plumbing new lows every day. With Piyush Mishra, Bureau Report, India Today.
Amritanshi getting in more details on that story. Joining us from Bhopal at this point in time. Amritanshi, please tell us that there will be the strictest action possible taken against all of these leaders. Talking about the fact that, the armed forces have to bow down before the Prime Minister. These statements are just not in poor taste. They were absolutely unnecessary. When the nation stands united in lauding our forces, the Prime Minister is led from the front, thanking the forces on an entire nation's behalf, isn't it?
So we have elected these people, and
Yes.
these people only are making derogatory comments on the people who are like constantly representing nation on the national and international borders.
Yes.
Apart from that, this is not the first time that Vijay Shah minister is been making comments, and specifically these type of comments on women. About 10 to 11 years before also, he made a comment on ex-chief minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan's wife, and that time also he has to give the resignation. But right now, as we are seeing, because FIR has been filed on Vijay Shah at the Manpur police station in the Mahu, where he made this comment. Apart from that, the High Court also stated MP government and the DGP to file an FIR. After that, Vijay Shah moved to the Supreme Court. From last 2 days, Supreme Court hearing is going on, and now Supreme Court has adjourned this hearing today, and now on the Monday again there will be another hearing. Apart from that, the Congress leaders are constantly slamming BJP party and Vijay Shah for his comments. right now, everyone was, the Congress party specifically is asking for the resignation of BJP minister. They also met Governor Mangu Bhai Patel today in the afternoon, and they demanded that the minister should be dismissed from his position. But Visha has appealed in the Supreme Court. He will be going against the order of the Supreme Court, against the order of the High Court in the Supreme Court. And he has said to the BJP that he will be keeping his statements in the Supreme Court also, and he will fight for this case. But right now, the biggest question by the party, the opposition party, is that why is not BJP taking the resignation of the minister? There's also a reason, because Vijay Shah is coming from a scheduled, he's an ST leader, he's a scheduled tribe leader, and in Madhya Pradesh, there is about around like 21.5 scheduled tribes voter, specifically of the caste from which Vijay Shah belongs. There are 58 lakhs voters. Also, Vijay Shah comes from a family which is a royal family. It's the Makrai Raj Gharana of the royal family in Madhya Pradesh, Harda. That is why maybe BJP is securing their vote bank, the tribal vote bank, which is very important for a party during the elections.
Okay,
and
will it be vote bank over action against these motormouth netas is the big question here. I'm going to leave it to that. Amritanji Joshi getting in those details from Bhopal at this point in time. More news coming in. The government is all set to launch a diplomatic blitz, sending delegations for diplomatic outreach to expose Pakistan on terrorism. All party delegations will be sent to different countries starting next week to expose Pakistan-sponsored terrorism on the World Forum as part of a major diplomatic offensive post Operation Sindur in the aftermath of the terror attack in Pahalgam. These will be MPs in various political parties. They've been sounded out by the government. And many of them we hear have given the green signal as well, that they're willing to go. They're ready to go for this diplomatic exercise. While there was no clarity on the exact number of delegations of the members, some leaders have indicated that there could be more than 30 members of parliament. They will be going to different countries. It's going to be over a period of 10 days. They will visit different blocks of countries as earmarked by the government. All right, so there will be members of parliament from different parts, essentially across the political spectrum. From different parts of the country, across the political spectrum, moving out of India in a period of 10 days. They would be going to many other places, many other countries as an outreach. It's a global outreach, essentially, that the Indian government under the Ministry of External Affairs has planned. It's a diplomatic outreach to send out a message and to explain specifically how India has been a victim of terror, and that this was a much needed operation against Pakistan's terrorists, particularly not against the army. Remember, India never struck at the army, nor did it harm the civilians, but against the terror bases in Pakistan. India is going to explain its position on why Operation Sindur was planned and carried out. Well, it's global diplomatic outreach on the part of India we just told you about. The government has picked, in fact, handpicked a delegation, members of this delegation from across political parties. Who will it have? Anurag Thakur, MP of the BJP. Aparijita Sarangi again, Bharatiya Janata Party MP. Shashi Tharoor, remember, he's been talking about why the government just had to carry out this operation. He's from the Congress party, but he will be a part of it. Manish Tiwari again in support of Operation Sindur. Congress MP Salman Khurshid, Congress MP again speaking about it. Asaduddin Owaisi, Chief of the AIMIM, will be a part of it. Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, Trinamool Congress MP, will be a part of it. JDU MP Sanjay Jha will be a part of this delegation, making an outreach to countries outside of India, saying what was the need for this operation. Sasmit Patra, BJD MP, Supriya Sule again has spoken in favor of Operation Sindur. Remember, all of these leaders have stood with the government. Political leaders have stood with the government, saying that we stand with you in whatever decision you take in Operation Sindur, or teaching Pakistan a lesson in that sense. Kanimudi, MP from the DMK, will also be there. Remember, Shashi Tharoor, Manish Tiwari, Congress MPs, and Asaduddin Owaisi praised the armed forces for the successful Operation Sindur. have also commended the central government for sending a strong message to Pakistan. And the new India stands firmly against terrorism. Listen in.
So listening to you, I get a sense that you're giving Narendra Modi and his government 10 on 10 or 9.5 on 10 for both the way they conducted Operation Sindur, handled the Pahalgam attack, and even handled the world diplomatically. There are others who are questioning, even in your own party, whether Mr. Modi has allowed Kashmir to get internationalized, whether to allow an American president to announce a ceasefire between India and Pakistan is setting a dangerous precedent. Am I to understand that you're giving 9.5 or 10 out of 10 to Prime Minister Modi, which is unusual, remember, for an opposition leader to do so?
Rajdeep, it's not my place to award marks to anybody, let alone my betters, let alone the head of our government. So I'm not awarding any marks for anybody. All I'm saying right now is I believe that the matters that were under our control, namely how to conduct this operation, including its naming it, its presentation of it, the information briefings, all that were very well done. If you ask me whether Mr. Trump announcing this ceasefire was a good idea, it was a terrible idea. But if you're implying that we could have controlled it, or that perhaps a chief minister from another, a prime minister from another party could have controlled Mr. Trump better, well, I'm very happy to wish you good luck in doing that, Rajdeep. I think this is a gentleman who escapes such easy control. And therefore, I don't know whether it's entirely appropriate to score political points off Mr. Trump's shoulders, because Mr. Trump is Mr. Trump. And I don't think anybody in any foreign country is able to control what he does and how he does it. All I can say is that India has to make it very clear to the world, to Mr. Trump, to the Pakistanis, and to the Indian public, whether we're going to do what Mr. Trump implies we're going to do. And I think it's already become very clear we're not. We're not going to give the Pakistanis the benefit of a negotiation that they have done nothing to earn. We're not going to give them the privilege of sitting across the table with them as a reward for their having killed 26 civilians in Pahalgam and a further 22 in Poonch and sent 59 to hospital as well. Their behavior has been egregious, to say the least, and we're not going to be talking lovey-dovey with the Pakistanis for a long time to come. As far as the question of rehyphenation and internationalization and so on, let somebody try and get us to talk to the Pakistanis, and we'll tell them exactly why we won't. I think we can't judge international affairs on the basis of one Truth Social post or one headline. We have to look at a pattern of behavior. We have to look at what follows next.
No, the reason I asked you that was, Dr. Tharoor, you've seen the way your party has reacted. Your party officially has called for a special session of parliament. You're a member of parliament. They've called a special session of parliament. That's been reiterated, saying we need all the issues underlying this ceasefire to be put up before Parliament. We need a full debate. You clearly are saying there is no need for a Parliament special session. You seem to suggest that these are...
I'm sorry, where you got that from? I've supported the demand from the very beginning. The party has every right to make such a demand. And in fact, I pointed out that in 1962, when we were at war with China, we actually managed to have a debate in Parliament, a special session of Parliament, which the Prime Minister personally attended and responded to questions. And in those days, there was no anti-defection law, so some of the toughest questions came to him from his own party, and he was able to handle that. So I think a parliamentary session is entirely healthy. I've done my part as chairman of the External Affairs Committee in requesting the Foreign Secretary to come and give us a briefing, which he's going to do next Monday. That's the prerogative of the committee. And that's his duty, and he's accepted that duty. So that's part of the parliamentary accountability process that is so important in a parliamentary democracy like ours.
Let me ask you as I conclude, Operation Sindur itself. I had your colleague Shashi Tharoor on the show 2 days ago. He congratulated the Modi government, believed that the government had ensured that we hit the Pakistanis hard and smart, and he felt that it was the right thing to do. Do you also believe that the government has taken the right stand on Pakistan? In the UPA years, you were accused of strategic restraint, not doing enough. Now the government effectively is saying, "Humne ghar mein ghus ke mara Pakistan ko, hit them where it hurts."
Well, first of all, Rajdeep, every government takes national security decisions based upon the imperatives and the best information which is there before it. So therefore, to compare two national security situations, I don't think is the correct way of approaching any national security issue. Having said that, in my estimation, the government did the appropriate thing, that they targeted and efficaciously hit the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. It was an attempt once again to establish strategic deterrence. And I do hope this strategic deterrence sends a salutary message to Pakistan that the use of semi-state actors in order to perpetrate terror or to use terror as an instrument of state policy is something which the government of India, the people of India, and by people I mean the entire opposition in India, is not going to tolerate at all under any circumstances. So yes, the punitive strikes were necessary. It was an imperative. And I do hope it sends that salutary message and establishes the conventional deterrence that we hope to establish in order to ensure that Pakistan refrains from using these semi-state actors.
Pakistan is hell-bent on destabilizing a country which has a population of 133 crores. That you must remember, a country which has the 5th largest economy in the world. How can the world sit quiet and allow this thing to happen? And it is very unfortunate that the IMF has sanctioned a loan of $1 billion. I would call it a loan to the militant organization over there. Very unfortunate that US, Canada and Germany have kept quiet, when they know for a fact that it is Pakistan which is promoting, financing terrorism against India. And this money, you mark my words, will never be used to eradicate poverty, to ensure that the polio rates in Pakistan come down. It will never be used for women empowerment in Pakistan of education. This will be used only, it will be used to promote terrorist activities against India. That is most unfortunate.